Hi guys, welcome to another tutorial. Today we are going to be making a pair of mittens. So these mittens are a half puff stitch mitten that you can make in any size that you want. So I'm just going to teach you kind of how to measure it so you can make it for your size or for any size that you need. And yeah, so let's get started. So I'm going to be using just one skein of yarn, and this is 200 yards of yarn, I believe. I didn't use the whole thing. But anyway, we're going to start with a slip knot. And we are going to make a short chain. So I'm just going to chain about 4 or 5 stitches, and I'll show you why. Because we are going to measure it so that it fits between our index finger and at the end of our middle finger. You can add an extra stitch if you want your mittens to be thick or to be wider. So these are going to be tight-fitting mittens, but if you want them wider, just maybe stitch another stitch or 2. So we're going to chain 1 more because we're going to turn around. And now we're going to make some half double crochets. So yarn over and insert your hook into that last stitch. Just pull your yarn through and then yarn over through all 3 loops. So that is our first half double crochet, and we're going to make 2 more in the same stitch to get a total of 3 half double crochets. So we got 2 and 3. And now we're going to make a single half double crochet in each of the stitches until we get to the last stitch. So we've got 1, 2, 3. We should be here at the last one. So in this last stitch, we're going to make 3 half double crochets, and that's going to give us our turn. So there is our first little row. Now each of our sides has 1 half double crochet end. So I'm just going to call them little like circle ends. And we're just going to keep half double crocheting. So in total, we're going to increase our the top part of our mitten so that each side has 3 of those circle crochets on it. So we're going to do the 3 half double crochets on the sides 3 times on each side. So I'm just going to keep working here, and I'll show you how we're going to do this when we get to the end. So here it gets kind of tricky when you get to this last one. So I'm just going to crochet into this little hole right there. Okay, so our stitch, it folds up. So see, I don't know if you can see right here where it kind of folded up. You can push it back a little, and that's going to be our end. So in that very last stitch, we're going to make our 3 half double crochet, or half double crochets. There we go. I'm getting tongue-tied here. So I'm just going to keep hiding this little tail end as I work my way around. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. You can just kind of thread it through at the end when you're done. But I just like to hide it as I work. That way I don't have to go weave in my ends, because I think that's my least favorite thing to do when I crochet. That's great. So we've got our 3. So in the next stitch, we just make a 1 half double crochet. So there's 1, and we just keep working our way around. So every one of the stitches gets 1, then we make another 3 on the end, and then we work our way around 1 more time so that each one of the ends has a total of 3 half double crochet turns. So I'll keep working here, and I'll show you what it looks like when I've reached the length I need. So now I've worked my way around 3 times, and this is what it looks like. So it's going to be about this wide. And let me grab my other mittens so you can see how wide that's going to be. So see, these are really narrow mittens because I just want them to fit nice and tightly. So if you've gotten to this point and you realize that you still need it wider, just go around another time. So make sure that each corner gets another half double crochet increase. And something I should also mention too is the size of the yarn will make a difference. So this is 3.5. So if you use a size 4 yarn, it'll make your mitten bigger. So I use the same sizing for this, and the mitten is a lot wider, so it's not as snug. So moving on, in the next stitch, we're just going to crochet a slip stitch. And now we're just going to begin with the actual half puff stitch pattern. So we're going to chain 1, and in the very next stitch we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, pull some yarn through, so now we have 3 loops. We yarn over again, insert the hook in the same stitch, and pull some thread through again. So we should have a total of 5 loops on our yarn, on our hook. Now we yarn over and pull through all 5 loops, and that is the half puff stitch that I'm going to be using for this. There you go. So let me get some more yarn, and now in the next stitch we're going to do the exact same thing. So let me go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull some yarn through, yarn over, insert our hook, pull through again, and then we yarn over and pull through all 5 loops. So you're going to do this in every single one of the stitches in this row. And when you get to the end, you're just going to do, instead of doing like the 3 half double crochet stitches that we did in the corner or in the very ends last time, you're not going to do this. You're just going to crochet 1 half puff stitch in every stitch all the way around. So I'm just going to work my way around and show you what it looks like. So I've worked my way around, and I'm in this very last one. So if you still need to increase just a little bit, you can make another half puff stitch into this last stitch right next to the chain. If you like the size that you have right now, then just skip it. So I'll just finish making this one because I want to give it just a little bit more with my mitten. There we go. And then here is that chain 1 that we made. We're going to go into the one right next to it, and that's where we're going to slip stitch, and that way we can hide our stitching a little bit better, because I tried making this with a chain 2 at the beginning of the row and it was really visible. So now we chain 1 for this next row, and we make a single crochet in every stitch of the row. So it's just insert our hook, yarn over, pull the yarn through, and then yarn over and pull through the 2 stitches, or through the 2 loops. So I'll make a single crochet in every stitch until I work my way around. So I've made my way all the way around, and I'm on my last stitch, so I'll make my last single crochet, and then I'm just going to close out the row. So here's my little chain 1, so I'm going to go to the space right next to it, and I'm just going to slip stitch. And there we go. And so those are the 2 rows that we're just going to keep repeating. So now I chain 1, and I'm going to make another row of my half puff stitch crochets. So make this as, just make several rows until you can hold the mitten up on your hand and see how it should go up to about your thumb. So for me it was, I don't have the mittens right in front of me, but I think it was about 6 rows of the half puff crochets. So it's the half puff and then the row single crochet right after. So, but this is what you're going to be doing. So it's just the half puff, the single crochet, and the half puff. So you can just kind of measure through, or measure as you crochet, just to make sure that it's as wide as you need it to. So now that I've finished this row, I'll show you one more time how to close it up. So we're going to go right next to our first half puff crochet, and I'm just going to slip stitch there, and that way it's nice and hidden. So this is how it's starting to look like after I've got 3 of these. And I will keep working a few more rows, and I will show you how long you need to make it so that it's long enough to cover your hand. Alright, so I've made a few more rows, and now I'm just going to try it on, just make sure that it is as snug as I want it to be, and that it's as long as I need it to be. So here's my thumb, this is where I want it to be. It's nice and snug. Count your rows to make sure that both of your mittens have the same number of rows, so that one mitten isn't shorter than the other. Okay, so now we're going to make the thumb part. So for the thumb part, there we go, you should be kind of on the side. See, it's got a little bit of space, and then I'm just going to start by chaining twice the number of chains I made at the beginning. So I had made a chain of 4 at the beginning, so now I'm going to make a chain of 8 and then kind of give that a try. If you need to, go maybe one more stitch after that, but it does increase a bit. That half puff stitch does make it a little bit longer. So if you make it too long, you're going to end up having a really wide thumb. So I'm just going to count about 5 stitches from where I made my chain to the other side and make it nice and tight. Don't make it too far, otherwise you're going to end up getting a really big thumb like space for it. So don't make too far. And I'm just going to try to, let's see, so that's about 5 stitches from where my chain begins, and that's where I'm going to make a slip stitch and attach my chain to my mitten. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I just insert my hook and slip stitch. Okay, so I've got my slip stitch. There we go. And I'm just going to turn this around a little bit, just give it a little more, make sure I tighten it so that the thumb's going to be really well attached. So in this next stitch, I'm going to make a single crochet. There we go. And I'm going to turn my work around. And in the chain, it might be a little difficult to work with if you work on the back. So if you've attached your chain so that the back side is kind of confusing looking like this, then you can use the bottom part of your, or like the actual hook part of your hook, to kind of grab hold of the stitch and then insert your hook. So I'm just going to make my half puff crochet. So here, hold on. Let me try to do a better job of showing you. It's kind of hard to show you on camera and for me to crochet at the same time. So there we go. I can't grab the stitch. So just remember to use really like loose tension when you're making your chain for this. I should probably mention that, but I kind of forgot until I'm watching this going, oh yeah, I should have made a looser chain. Alright, so I'm going to start with my puff stitch, and I'm going to make a half puff stitch in every stitch of the chain. And this is where I'm telling you that it makes the chain longer, because the half puff crochet just kind of makes your work a little bit wider. So I'm just going to keep working my half puff crochet in every stitch, and I will see you when I work my way around. Okay, so I've gotten back to my end, so here's my last chain. So I'll just make my last half puff stitch, and we're going to have to start working our way around on the mitten as well so that we can close it off. So go to the very next stitch right over here. And for this first row, see, there it is. You can kind of see it there. And for this very first row, I'm just going to make a single crochet. So now that we have attached it, we'll go into the next row and make to the next stitch, excuse me, and make a single crochet. Now we're going to turn our work around, go into that very next stitch, and we're going to single crochet, and I'm just going to make a single crochet in every stitch until I work my way around. So I'll do this really quickly and just show you how we're going to attach the thumb part. Because we had to do that first row to kind of make the bottom part to attach it, and then now we just have to increase the top part right below the mitten so that we've got space for like the webbing between your thumb and your hand. There we go. Okay, so I worked my way around, and now we're here at the end. So in this very next stitch, I'm just going to start working around. So I will make my slip stitch, and then I'll do my single crochet, turn my work around, and we're going to make another row of half puff crochets. So I'll do those really quickly. Okay, so here is my last stitch, and now we are here at the end again. So now we've got all these funky little stitches where we've been making single crochets. So we're just going to go into this next one and make another half puff crochet. There we go. And now we're going to close off this circle. So we're going to go into this nice little hidden stitch in here, and we're going to make another half puff crochet. There we go. And we're going to go into this topmost one. See, it kind of looks like a chain right here. Yeah, we're going to go into the topmost one. So it's going to be the easiest one you can go into. The other two stitches are going to be really tight. And we're going to close that off, and now we just chain one and we make a single crochet in every stitch all the way around, because now we can work in the round. So I'll make these really quickly. So see, here we go. And now we're just going to keep working rows. So we're just going to keep repeating these rows until it is the length that you need so that your finger fits comfortably. So for this one, I did what, 4? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. So it's about 4 rows of the half puff crochet. So that may depend on how long your thumbs are, because I have one long thumb and one stubby thumb. So I kind of have to switch mine up a bit. But depending on how long your thumbs are, you can get that to work. So now that I've got several rows, here we go, you can do a couple of things. You can either make another row of single crochets to make this really tight, like make the circle really close up, or you could do what I like to do, and I just cut a really long tail here, and I'm just going to sew it shut. So I'm going to get my tapestry needle, just pull the yarn through over here, go nice and tight, thread my needle, go. You can use any kind of needle that you want for this. I just find that I prefer tapestry needles to yarn needles because I think yarn needles are just way too thick. And I'm just going to loosely stitch across. So I'm not going to tighten it too much. There you go, just enough to start closing it. And I'm just going to stitch back and forth until I close up the circle. So like I said, you can do another row of single crochets and then just stitch it nice and tightly, or you can just stitch it loosely like I'm doing, and you close up the thumb. So I'll just keep sewing this, and I will see you again when I finish. So I reached the end and I've sewed everything together, and I'm just going to weave in my end. So I'm just going to hide my ends here. So I made a little square, so I sewed everything in the shape of a square before I hit the play button again, so you didn't see that, but that way I can weave in my end really well. And I'm just going to hide the little tail end this way. So just pull this through, and then I'll pull this thread so it's nice and tight. Cut that, so I got my little tail end, and just pull on my glove, and that will hide my extra bit of yarn. So now to continue working on our mitten, now we have to make the bottom part. So I like to start here in the corner on the thumb. And something to remember is that right here I ended on a single, this was a half puff crochet, and then this one was a single. So if you do that, you kind of want to make them the same so you can keep going with your pattern. So you can work your way around the thumb and then just make it the same stitch as the rest of the mitten. But if you have the same and everything started with a half puff stitch, then you can just start working a row of single crochets. And this time you're just going to work all the way around. So including like the thumb area. So I'm just going to grab my tail end of the yarn here, just make a single crochet, and then I'm going to chain one, and it's without that little tail end. So I'm just going to show you here what to do in case you have two different stitching on the thumb versus the rest of the mitten. So say that the mitten only has like the half puff crochet and you ended on a row of single crochets on your mitten, then what you're going to do is just turn your work around and work a single crochet all the way around your thumb. And when you get here, just slip stitch, make a chain one, and you're ready to go. And that way you can start with the whole row of half puff crochets all the way around. I didn't do that, so I ended everything with a half puff stitch. So both my mitten and my thumb part both start with half puff stitches. So I could just start with my row of single crochets. So I'll just grab both of my ends here on the yarn, and I'm just going to insert my hook with both, with like the end of the yarn, and make a single crochet. And then I'm going to hold my little tail end up against the glove so that I can hide it, and just start, here we go, with a single crochet in every stitch. And I'll just hold down this little tail end so that it'll get woven into my mitten part. So work your way around, and don't forget to include the thumb part too. So go around the entire circle. See, That makes it a little easier to see, so that way you've got your whole row. So, and that way it'll be one continuous part here at the bottom. So after my row of single crochets, I'll do another row of half puff stitches, and I'll keep making a couple of them until I make the mitten as long as I need for it to cover my hand completely and to get to my wrist. So I'll work on that, and I'll show you what it looks like here in a minute. So I've made several rows now, and that was just the repeated pattern of the single crochet row and then a row of half puff stitches. And this is how my mitten is fitting me so far. So see that it goes all the way to my wrist, and that's how long I want it to be. So now we can start the ribbing for the edge. So for this, you can either do the half double crochet that a lot of folks do. I kind of like to just make it easier and just do like a thick ribbing, and I do that with double crochets. So like this. So I just do double crochets, like front post and then back post double crochets. And that's how I do my ribbing, but I like it to look a little bit thicker. So that's what we're going to be doing. So I'm just going to chain 2 and then just make a double crochet in every stitch all the way around. So let me get a couple of these, and then I will show you what a double crochet looks like in case you don't know what a double crochet looks like. But let me get a couple of these in here. All right, so for a double crochet, you wrap your yarn around your hook, insert your hook, and you pull in through 2 and then 2. So let's do this again. Wrap your yarn, insert your hook, grab some yarn and pull through, so you have 3 loops, and then you yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. And that is a double crochet. So make one of those all the way around in this row. Okay, so I've worked my row. I've got my last double crochet. Sorry, this has taken me all day to make, so now it's nighttime. So in the stitch right next to the chain, we're just going to slip stitch. And now we're going to start making our front and back post double crochets. So to do that, we're going to chain 2. And in this very first one, I'm just going to make a front post double crochet. So I'm going to push my post forward and then finish my double crochet. Let me see if I can show you a little bit better. So yarn over, go behind the hook and push it forward, and then pull my yarn through and finish my double crochet. The next stitch, we're going to push the post back. So we're going to make a back post double crochet. So let me show you slower. So here we grab some yarn, go behind the post, push it forward, so it's a front post double crochet, pull the yarn through, and we yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now this next post, we're going to come in here from behind and push it backwards. So we're going to come in from behind the work and then in front of the post and push the post backward. So we're just going to keep alternating between a front post and a back post double crochet all the way around. So here I'm on my last stitch. So here's my chain. I'm going to go and stitch right on top of the chain and just make a slip stitch. And that was my first row. So I chain 2, and we're going to make another row of the front and back post double crochets. So these that are raised are going to be front posts, and the ones that are tucked into the back are back posts. So it's just going to be a quicker row to work because now you can just kind of see what you're doing. So there's a front back post, and then front post, and then back post, and make as many rows of these as you want. So just make your the end of your mitten as long as you want it to be. I didn't want it to be too long, so I think I just did a total of 4 rows of this. But let's see, I think that was 4 rows, yeah. But you can make it longer if you choose to. And that's it. I'll just keep working my way around and finish this mitten, weave in my ends, and I will be done. And that's it, guys. That is a tutorial for how to make a pair of mittens. If you have any questions, any comments, leave them down in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel if this is kind of stuff you like to see. Give it a thumbs up if you liked the video. And you can follow me on Instagram. I am @mode.bespoke. Thank you.